Night Owls with Alan Robson.
What are we talking about next? You make the call. 0191 488 3188.
Greatest Hits Radio.
And hello, everybody. We're talking bravery. We're talking the bravest or the stupidest thing that you have ever done. And I'm going to regale you with a few because our first hurrah will be coming in a second because James Geary from South Shields has sent this in. The bravest thing I ever did was standing up to my grandfather's abuse as a child. I was beaten with a leather belt, usually when he was drunk. One day, I'd had enough. And as he raised his hand, I grabbed it, threatening to shove it where the sun doesn't shine. He never hit me again. That's from James. And it's your PS that gets my hoorah. Alan, thanks again for your kind words concerning my recent cancer scare. This wasn't on the show, it was just between us. And he says, Alan, you are right. The cancer scare was absolutely nothing to worry about. That is a hoorah in anybody's language, so well done. Great to hear, James, and I just had a feeling you were going to be fine. Speaking of fine, a new film is out. I've mentioned this to you a couple of weeks back. The movie's called 7 Days, and it's the story of blind Dave Healy. Now, for those of you that come along to the Great North Run, or any of you that's within hearing distance of the loud voice that booms across the north that morning into afternoon, will know that blind Dave comes to see me every time he's up. At the present moment, he's either running or just about to run the Birmingham Great Half Marathon. But we've persuaded him to stay up just a tad. Hello, Dave.
Alan, how the devil are you?
Hey, I must say, this is the first DVD, because you were kind enough to bang a copy in my direction. This is
Thank
the
you.
first one, and I know you. And between you and I think we've got a good understanding. But you had me bubbling. What a great... I had no idea you'd done so much, Dave, honestly. What a man.
Well, I'll tell you what, mate. I mean, in all fairness to the directors and the producer, and I know Nigel quite well, but we did the Escape from Alcatraz 3 years ago now. And he saw me swimming in open water, and he said, "You're a bit of an interesting character here." He said, "I want to do a film." Right. And I thought, yeah, okay, whatever. and I'll tell you what, me and the wife, me and the gaffer, we still sit round the kitchen table and we scratch our heads and we go, "Do you remember that conversation we had?" "Yeah." "And there's a film out," and you go, and I mean, I always class myself as the blind old codger from West Brom, and I'm thinking, it's going to happen to people like us, Alan. It's just going to happen, you know.
I mean, there's many a director that said to me, I want to make a film about you, usually when I'm taking my clothes off next to the casting couch. However, it actually came about for you, and I couldn't be happier. Mind you, they've picked this guy to play you, and obviously you haven't seen the film for obvious reasons.
Correct.
For you are blind, Dave. It's just, this is like casting Quasimodo and picking Matt Damon to play him. How did you get somebody this good looking?
Well, Alan, what can I say? I mean, I even asked could I play in the film, and they wouldn't even give me a part.
Oh, shoot.
It was absolutely brilliant. I mean, the beautiful part about it is young Charlie, who plays me as a kid. Yeah. He's brilliant. He's a lovely lad. Baggy's Santa boot. And they got Jack Lane. And a lot of people say, you know, Jack, over the months they did it, he kind of blends in. Because I said, well, you don't, in the lingo down here, Al, it's like, well, he don't speak like you. And I went, well, no, but, you know, sometimes you've got to have a bit of poshness here.
well, just for a wider audience so that everybody knows what you're talking about. That's the thing. But can I just say a couple of things? Because we started the show talking about, like, brave and stupid things that you've done. To me, I think that what makes you, like, and many other blind athletes that do all kinds of things, when you start running, you've got no idea where you're going. You don't know what's in front of you. You don't know what's going to run in front of you or
Correct.
trip you up or any of. When you jump in the sea, and I know a lot of people say, "Oh, I'm really terrified because you don't know what's under you," and it's true, you don't. But you're in the sea, and nothing seems to bother you. Nothing causes you any kind of stress. You just get on with it.
Well,
What kind of peace of mind do you have to be able to do stuff like that?
Well, I suppose it's wanting to. You know what? Do you know what, Alan? When I first kicked off running, I had a guide runner. Now I've got probably 5 guide runners who are dropping at any time.
Right.
I've got a mate of mine who's also on the front of the tandem, and Tony, who is my main guide runner. I mean, we just do whatever. I mean, he's a typical example. We're running the Great Birmingham Half today.
That's today, is it? Oh, blame me, right?
Yeah. We done it this morning.
Right.
And you know, we were about a mile from the finish, and suddenly it got a bit wet underfoot.
Right.
And I went, hang on a minute, my feet are getting wet. I said, is there only space in this puddle for me? And he said, Dave, I couldn't avoid it. Well, all of the lads and lasses that was running behind, they was going, you cruel so-and-so. but, you know.
Yeah, he's in the dry, you're in the puddle. Brilliant.
You've got it. But that's the rapport we've got, and I love it because the lads, they do not treat me as a blind person.
Right.
And as I say to them, they've got Team Blind Dave, and I thank them for me being a part of the team. And as they say, Dave, it's your team. But no, they allow me to run, to cycle, to swim. They give me that opportunity, and that's what gets me on, mate. And I'll tell you what, we just have a laugh, and you know, we raise a few bob, but we raise a lot of awareness. I mean, it was like the Great North. And as you know, come and have a little rabbit with you. Yeah. And the chap said to me on the line, he said, Dave, what are you going to do today? And I went, I don't know, mate. And he says, well, we're going to do about 140. And I went, oh, I don't know. I said, we'll get. He says, you ain't taking this serious, am you? And I went, I am, you know. I said, you know, in the last 3 days, it's took me 24 hours a day, 3 days, times 3. My maths are not good. To learn this Elvis record, to sing a song with Elvis at 11 and a half.
No, what's going through you in your head, though? Because, you know, for those people that do the run, and even people like me who now I'm in the middle cheering everybody on, it's an amazing day. It's a million colours. It's 50-odd thousand people all smiling and getting into it. Yeah. It's an amazing vista, even to come to the end of the Great North Run. Yeah, you turn that corner, there's the sea ahead of you. The people start cheering your name. You think you're there, but you've still got a bloody long way to go. And off you go. But that's in the mind's eye and the eyes of those people that can see. What do you see in your mind's eye when you're doing the whole running thing?
Well, I'll tell you what. I mean, with the Great North Run in particular, number one, I mean, I've done it now for 18 years on the trot, but the atmosphere on the day. Now, I'm going to say this, and I've said it to you, and I've said it to many. When I stood there on the line for the first time 18 years ago, your voice boomed out. And for 18 years, and now I come and have a little chinwag with you. You met the morning for me. Because we come down, we have a bacon butty, and we have a cup of coffee. Yeah. You know, as athletes do. Well, I spell mine with an F. An athlete. And then we come down and they say, we're going to have a word with Al. And then they'll say, we're getting you there. Yeah. But, you know, I mean, I love the banter that you come out with because the Geordie accent and the Black Country accent is miles apart. Yeah, but as people, you are like we are down in the Black Country. You know, fabulous people. You know, what you get is what you see is what you get.
For sure.
And then you've got the crowds that come together. You've got the banter. You've got the music. You've got all sorts of runners supporting every kind of charity. And then you get in that cage and they say, oh, the wheelchairs are going to go, and off they go. The elite women go, and it's us next, and we run. And as you're going down that first mile, people are just shouting your name and come on. And that's what it's like.
But are you visualising any of it?
Yeah. I mean, the lads are saying to me, over to the left, put your arm up, give them an high five. You know, to the right, give them an high five. and as we come down, I know there's various slogans that they put on the bridges, and on the time, and they paint that picture for me. So I could sit with you, tomorrow night, say in the pub, we'll have a couple of pints, and you say, right, tell me the 13 mile. I can tell you when I get to mile 4, there's the tom-tom drums. To mile 5, there's a band on the right-hand side. Yeah. We get to mile 9, there's the island. We go around the island, and there's always a bloke there normally. If we've got a little bit of a lull there, he'll go, "Wait, Blind Dave, I see her in the north run again." And off I go up the hill. That's my great Australian accent. And then we get to the top, and Elvis is waiting, and we have a sing-song with him. Yeah. And then when you get to the top, I mean, I can't hear the guide runners. And it is noise, and more noise. It is just fantastic. Now, I've run many runs across the world and done, many things. On this year, we did the Comrades in Africa. And it was different voices, a foreign language, but the same thing was being shouted at you. Correct. We want you to get to that finish, and I don't care what language it's in. But the runners, the camaraderie, the banter, it's just incredible, and that's what I get it. And I must admit, I'm running for the Albion Foundation, which supports blind kids, wheelchair, football, disability sport, underprivileged kids, special needs. And you know what I keep saying to them? If the blind old codger from West Brom can do what I do, what is out there for you? Yeah, for sure. But it's Alan, I can't explain how it makes me feel, what it does to me. And and I've met people like yourself, and I've met the Great North Run team, and we've been with them today. And you just meet people across the country, and in fact across the world. It's fantastic.
You can't have enough friends. But I tell you, this 7 days, people can get a hold of this. It's available now, based on the incredible true story, and it is an incredible story, Dave. Blind Dave Healy. I tell you, there's an awful lot of kids who, they're either born or they develop sight issues. Yeah. And if ever they want anything to really give them a lift and make them realise just what in life is possible, when, at the very beginning it must hit them like a hammer, this film will do it. 7 days, the story of you, Blind Dave Healy. You are a superhero, Dave. Have you not been in the bath and put all of that calamine lotion on yet?
I can't afford a bath. I mean, I had to wait for it to rain like today. Run around with some soap. Hey, Alan, I know you've got plenty more on, but I've got to let you into this one.
What's
now,
that?
Alan, you will love this. You will love this.
What's that?
Now, football fans, we were standing in the stands, sitting in the stands. I sit there with my earphones. There's stuff going on the pitch, and suddenly there's a decision that doesn't go right, and suddenly you get a lot of voices going, "Hey, are you blind or what?" Now, here's the best. I was approached 6 months ago by West Bromwich Referees Association, and they went through the FA. I am now going to be made honorary president of the West Bromwich Referees Association.
That's ridiculous.
So when anybody says it's a football match in future, "Hey, referee me, you're blind," and if I'm sitting there, I'll go, "Nah, mate, I'm here. Yeah, I am. What do you want me to do?"
They might not be, but the president is. That's brilliant.
Oh,
brilliant. Hey,
fantastic,
you
Alan.
cannot make it up.
Absolutely.
Dave, get your head down, have a swig of something nice and warm and toasty, and love to you, mate. Thank you for talking to us, and good luck with this movie. I hope it's a huge hit for you.
Fantastic. Alan, thank you very much for having me on, and thank you very much for your support, mate. I will see you next year regardless.
Look forward to
and
it.
I've got a lovely big bike challenge coming up in April, and I'll give you a shout about it all in a couple of months' time.
Look forward to it. Cheers, Dave. All the best, man.
Cheers, Alan.
Bye-bye. There you go. What a guy. And president of the Referees Association. That is brilliant. You can't make it up. Time for a piece of music. I was going to play one bit of music, decided I'm going to play a different piece of music just because it kind of fits in. Because if you're talking about music that makes it easy for you to run, that's the sound of Tears for Fears. Now, a little bit later on, something I didn't mention before, I've got a top 10 for you. The top 10 stupidest crimes committed by pop stars. Just a little something I've put together because we're going to be playing the music of one of these heroes a little bit later on. However, next, into the cauldron of hope and desire, we have David from Houghton Spring. Hello, David.
Hello, Alan. How are you doing?
Good, man. Thank you for coming on. I gather you're involved with the Save the Cooperage campaign.
That's right, yes, I am.
What's your role in all of this, then?
I'm a freeman of the city of Newcastle. I'm the senior steward of the Coopers Company, which means that historically my company made barrels, right, and occasionally when the plague was in town we made coffins. And I've gotten involved because the Cooperage is our ancestral home, so to speak. It's sort of the figurehead where we all come from. And Cooperage is one of those places instantly recognisable on the quayside, and I want to get involved and see if we can save the building.
Why did it come to a situation of threat? Because from what I remember back in the day, and I even had one of my many wedding receptions there, which is therefore I was worried it was a curse because not many of them went terribly well. So what got it to this stage? Because it seemed to be a thriving business for years.
To the best of my knowledge, it was a thriving business for years. I mean, I spent many a happy year as an undergraduate in there, doing what undergraduates do and seeing lots of local bands in there, that sort of thing. Absolutely. And the best of my knowledge, I haven't kept up to date with the owners. The Arthur family sold it on a few years ago. It remained a pub. But to the best of my knowledge, it just simply, they didn't make enough money, they closed the doors, and it was sold to a property developer. And I think the idea is that it's just waiting an opportunity to be redeveloped and looking for perhaps a change of ownership to see if we can revitalise, perhaps bring back some of the magic that used to be. I mean, it's a very special place. I mean, you've been there many, many times yourself. You know, it's a strange place. There's some spooky or weird goings on in there. Which I'm sure you're aware of.
I am, but the history of the place, and
absolutely.
When I first started to get involved with the people that ran the Cooperage over the years, because they had me down there for putting bands on sometimes, watching bands, because I was there probably next to you at the bar, watching just what was going on and getting a bit of crack like you did, because it was a place where it didn't matter what style of music you were talking about. There was a lot of hairies, a lot of punks, a lot of new romantic. There was a bit of everything in the Cooperage, which was one of the joys of the place. But the history, I mean, when you hear stories about them putting the kid on the roof to watch for press gangs and ringing the bell in the bar, and then everybody disappears out the side door up the hill, you know, running away to make sure that they didn't get press gang, and ended up with murdering the guy, nailing him to the side door. I mean, you can't buy history like this kind of stuff. You can't,
yes. The whole quayside area is just full of the most wonderful history, and it would be such a shame if we lost the Cooperage. I mean, if you look at the success of the Red House, the Red House wasn't in particularly good state a few years ago, and now it's absolutely we were in there about a month ago or something. You couldn't get moved on a Friday night.
And you're only talking, 30 yards, 40 yards, just around the corner.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. And it needs to be, I think the Cooperage needs to be restored, brought back to life, made into a proper pub again.
Absolutely.
No, maybe not like the glory days of going to see punk rock bands there, or it was techno in my day, some things like that. But, it'd be nice to see some of those things back again. And, of course, you know, what's going to happen to the old toilets, for instance? I mean, there was some... You know, I've been listening to your show for many, many years, 40-odd years or something, and, I used to listen to the spooky goings-on, and there was some weird stuff, truly weird stuff happened in the Cooperage toilets, and I'm not just talking about funny stuff, I went in there not making this up, I went in there one night, we doing what gentlemen do in the pub, drinking far too many pints of 80 bob, and I went and I was using one of the urinals, and I heard somebody come in behind me as this sort of thing happened, and I heard them making a lot of noise, and when I turned around, there was nobody there. Right. And I went, okay, you've had too much, time to go home. And, friends outside going, why have you gone white as a sheet? You're round. And you go, I can't tell you because you won't believe me, and you'll just take the mickey.
A lot
And
of
they
people, though, especially the upstairs, the higher up the building
Yes.
you got, seemed to
Oh,
be
yes.
there was a different kind of feeling altogether. And I was talking to some of the bar staff there, and apparently at the end, sometimes the upstairs rooms were like functions and private
Yes.
functions that people could hire and what have you. And if they were working the top floor, as soon as the last person from the function disappeared, it was like
downstairs.
everyone's running away to make sure they didn't have to stay up there for any length of time. There's obviously, but hey, you can't have that much history in one place. And if you look along the quayside, and yes, you've got the Red House, which has been brought up to modern standards. You've got a window and a plaque, haven't you? Essentially, is the history of the building, the story of the lady herself who eloped.
Bessie Cersei's house to Lord Eldon, yeah.
Absolutely. So you've got that, lovely, but what looks like it's time, because it doesn't particularly. It fits in quite nicely with the modern shops and stores around it, but the cooperage. Yeah, you're back in time just looking at the place. And the stairs up that lead up, to the
long stairs,
the castle keeper. Oh my goodness.
You run up there to see if your heart's still working. If you can make it to the top without fainting, you're in good condition.
But mind you, the last time I was down there, and it wasn't that long ago, I did a little radio feature on it, probably about 3 or 4 months ago. And the outside wall looked like it's getting nearer and nearer to almost being an arch. With the building next door to it, it's sticking out there, man.
I went there on Thursday afternoon just to have a look at the place, and I was slightly taken aback. I was shocked by the state of the doors, shocked by the state, but it looked as if there'd been some repair work done. There's looked like somebody had been up to something with some of the drain pipes. Maybe they're trying to improve the water flow. But I was appalled by the amount of graffiti, the amount of, say, what you would call paraphernalia down there. Not healthy, not a good place.
No, but this is what happens when places aren't used, though, you see. That's the thing.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah. I
So
mean, if it was
brought back.
Absolutely. If it was being used, I'm sure that wouldn't be an issue. I know we've got some more people wishing to talk about that. If anybody has got a great memory of the cooperage, give us a ring. Tony, who's a taxi driver, said, I picked the previous owner up a few years ago. He was telling me the council would only allow 2 days opening a week due to complaints about noise from an apartment block that was built next door. He couldn't afford to run it on just 2 days, so he closed it down.
That's a shame, yeah.
But there's got to be a way around that. I mean, okay, we'll just not get your techno lot in, not get my rocky lot in. But do it a different way. There's got to be.
There's got to be lots of things you could do with a building like that. I mean, it doesn't have to be loud music 24/7.
Absolutely.
I mean, you've got the Riverside, not far away, isn't it? Sure. Memory serves. The Riverside's not all that far away.
No, it's a shame.
So it's a shame.
Well, I'm glad you're doing battle for it. Put me down if I could help in any shape or form. I have so many memories of that place. I mean, it's just joyous. When you see it and when you look at what's happened in there. Just lifts your spirits, because you could do that again. It could absolutely do that again.
Well, one of the good things you see is that we've got the coop. I need to actually mention this to the guys who are actually on the state of the cooperage. Is that I've been making some phone calls this weekend, talking to people from as far afield as Glasgow, as far afield as London, where coopering, the craft of making barrels, is making something of a comeback. A lot of the medieval crafts that the freemen of Newcastle represent, coopering. Making barrels is one of the few that's actually coming back because of the interest in bespoke beers and sort of custom beers and wines and whiskies, particularly north of the border. Coopering is growing and growing and growing. I was at a ceremony back in March attended by Prince, what's the youngest one called?
Harry.
I can't remember.
Harry.
Not Harry. No, not Harry. No, the Queen's son. God, I can't remember.
The Queen's son, Charles. Edward.
The next one, Edward. Prince Edward, that's the one. Sorry. I got sudden brain fuse. I was like, 44 Coopers got the credentials.
Oh, that's great.
Craftsmen.
Yeah.
But they're north of the border.
Right.
The thing is, we've got to try and bring coopering back south of the border.
Absolutely.
So that we're in this side of the river and see what we can do. So coopering's growing. And we reckon we could probably turn it into some kind of heritage centre, demonstrations of making barrels, that sort of thing. Maybe you hope to get some of the other local breweries involved, that sort of thing. Just trying to get some interest going. It would be such a shame to see this whole thing knocked down and a bunch of student apartments replace it. It would be awful.
I just think there's so many options for the place as well. Historically, it just has to be saved. Good luck to you, David. Bless you, man. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you very much, Alan.
Cheers, mate. Bye-bye. There you go. He's a freeman of Newcastle upon Tyne. I'm not. I'm the first ever freeman of Benwell. How about that? And went to a ceremony many, many moons ago. But I still haven't taken me sheep through there, though, but it's only a matter of time. We are going to take a little break now because we've got somebody else on the line. Phil from Monkseaton. He is also interested in saving the cooperage. Let's see what he has to say immediately after this.
This is Real Life Conversation with the voice of the North.
This is Night Owls with Alan Robson.
Call 0191 488 3188.
Greatest Hits Radio.
And we have some more I'm So Toughs coming in. Keep them coming. Alan Ross, Michael and the night shift lads here at Senstronics are having a huge debate about a difficult topic between two old rivals. And we'd like to know your thoughts. What's better, custard creams or bourbon biscuits? Hey, lads, come on. First of all, can I just say, you have picked arguably two of the cheapest biscuits. Bourbons used to be really quite posh. Custard creams, the biscuit of the people. Bourbons were slightly posher. So I would have to go with the common folk, the custard cream. However, I would like to throw into the mix the joker of the pack, which has always been the Jammy Dodger. So, if we're talking best biscuit, Night Owls, where do you stand? Because you cannot just leave it custard creams or bourbons, even though they are packets that you can now buy at for relatively little. We're talking less than 2 packets in a pound shop kind of thing, you know. So, Jammy Dodger, does that trump them? Because you can't have stuff like wagon wheels anymore, because they used to be the size of wagon wheels. Now they're roughly the size of the top of a tin can, which isn't funny. Also, I'm so tough. Eddie's come in with this one. I am so tough, I have a cold shower every morning. You obviously must need one. And Geraldine says, I'm not tough at all. The toughest thing I ever did when Blockbuster was in existence with videos, brackets VHS, I took a video back without rewinding it. Blimey, living on the edge. Let's go. We have another Cooperage call, and it's Phil in Monkseaton. Hi, Phil.
Howdy doody. How you doing, mate?
Good. Tell me about your involvement with this. Are you involved with the campaign or just supportive of it?
I certainly am, but I just want to interject here, if I can.
Do.
And I want to see your Johnny Dodger and Ray's Gypsy Creams.
Oh, that's cruel. That's cruel, because they are nice gypsy creams.
They were.
Yeah. I once had a gypsy. I didn't have any pudding, but I did have a jar of carnation milk. And I once put a gypsy cream slightly in the oven for like 2 minutes just to warm it up. And I had it with that carnation. And I tell you, they should make gypsy cream puddings, because it was a gorgeous thing. So that has put the cat among the pigeons. But let's get to the thing in question, the cooperage. I mean, presumably you were another, like us all, who spent a bit of time in there.
Yeah, it had been known. Yeah. But not only that, I think I was born a history nut. So I think I've got more... I think I'm more attached to it from a sort of a history geek kind of way than actually sort of being a punter, although, like I say, I did home the place myself sometimes.
I think the whole idea, though, of the thousands of things that happened there and around it is incredible.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, just incredible. And I know people say, well, it's an old building now. My worry is, how do you secure, because you've had the guy on who's a cooper, coincidentally, but how do you get the belly of a building that's bursting at the seams at the side, how do you get that square again without having to pull the whole thing down?
It's been done next door. If you see the building on the other side of this, the long stairs, you can see the huge kind of the evidence of the huge braces that they've put in and whatever.
and they've pulled that wall back in. So it's not. It's by no means beyond salvageable.
I hope so.
It's going to take some doing,
Sure.
And somebody who's a damn good builder or a restorer, but it's not beyond.
No, I hope not. I mean, it just seems that over the last few years, there's been a fight to save it, a fight to keep it going, a fight to keep the pub going. And then when that didn't happen, can we hire it out for venues? But then you've got to keep it in a decent condition. And and I haven't been in for a long time, but I did go down and have a look at it, locked away. And it did look like it would need a bit of work before you could even open it. I don't even think it's safe for the public as it stands.
Yeah. Well, we had... I'm actually running the Save the Cooperage campaign at the moment on Facebook.
Right.
We shall have a proper website courtesy of some friends in Atlanta, Georgia.
Great.
Believe it or
not.
Very shortly. So watch this space.
We will watch for it. Are you hoping that somebody can come along and take it off the developers and have a plan for it?
Well, I know the ultimate goal for us is to have the building secured and its future secured from neglect again. It's been over 10 years now.
Sure.
And I think that the owners demonstrated either a lack of will to do anything with the building, and it's subsequently been left, or the fact that he's found out because of events that led him to close it in the first place. He's been lumbered with this white elephant that he doesn't know what it's a sink to throw his money in. So we're so concerned about that aspect that we need to offer him help, or we need to find a way to take the building and restore it as much as we can. Like I say, I mean, there's time gone by, years and years of rain ingress and whatever. I've had conflicting survey reports, one very bad, one pretty good, but it doesn't help the fact that once again it's closed up, and left to the elements again, once again to just decay in the same situation. It's not good enough. This is a listed building. It's not the Grade 2 star listed building, which means it's, I think it's in the top 2.5% of listed buildings.
Because I mean, a lot of people seem to think, it's probably like 1800s or late 1700s. This is 1430. This, I mean, that's ridiculously old.
I mean, if you want a kind of a whistle stop history lesson, that would take up a long afternoon of somebody telling all the bits and bobs. Just
to name the Kings would probably fill an afternoon. It's been there during all of that history. Absolutely amazing. It's
the Great Fire of London, 1854, destroyed most of everything on the quayside, but
not the Cooperage.
No, and we're just going to let it fall into the street. I don't think so. No. This is an icon of the quayside. It's an icon of Newcastle, and it's physical evidence of our existence, of the Geordies, the whole of the northeast. It's what people see when they're coming along the Tyne. They'll see it. You know, we get. I've heard from so many people who visit the place. What's happening here? That's beautiful. Why aren't you doing something with it? Isn't it a shame?
You can imagine, though, the tall ships and coming in across the 15, 16, 17, 1800s and coming up the Tyne, seeing their favourite tavern and getting off there and going straight, I mean, literally across the road from the river to their favourite hostelry. You can see that whole historical thing going. Because if you look at the quayside, yes, they've done a lovely job of modernising the whole thing, but they haven't given you any flavour of the the glorious history of the big river. You know,
yeah, and why shouldn't we? I mean, there's a you look go down the country. People have got a canal. They've got a cathedral. They've got Stratford, for God's sake.
Sure.
Places like Stratford. I mean, it's a walk-in museum.
Yeah, it should be. It
You know,
certainly
why
should.
shouldn't we be allowed that? Why shouldn't we have that up there? I mean, are we so different?
Hey, well said. Well said. So if people want to get in touch, they can go to the what page?
Yes.
What page should they look for?
Save the Coopridge
Simple as.
on Facebook.
Right.
That's our main sort of sender. In fact, it's possibly our own at the moment.
Right.
And we have an online petition at change.org and a GoFundMe going as well. You can search for our Coopridge. We'll come up. We've got a demonstration actually in the pipeline for November 3rd.
Right.
And
make sure you come on here before then to give it another show as well. Make sure you get as many as you can.
Yeah. I mean, I spoke to you last year.
Right.
Around about the time that you did your live recording.
I remember.
That's not an oxymoron.
No, absolutely. But hey, thank you very much, Phil, for keeping on. We'll be watching you every step of the way. Thanks for coming on.
Alan, you're a good egg. Thanks.
Bless you, man. Bye-bye. They're just good people trying to save a little bit. You know how much I love history. Blimey, if you could tell the history of that building over those years, there's a Netflix mini-series that I'd want to watch. 0191 488 3188, or you can text Alan plus your message to 61054. We have a new podcast out this week. Every Wednesday there is an Alan Robson's Grizzly Tales podcast. Get them from wherever you get podcasts from. I have no idea. I just tell the story and how you do it. Tony throws it down there to the populace. If you're after it, if it's your kind of thing, please do. I'm going to play a little piece of music for you now, and then we've got Alison in Anfield playing. The piece of music is by Robbie Williams. Now, the last time he came in to see me, I asked him about different audiences. Obviously, Take That, massive. He's bounced in and out of the band. And when he first started on his own, he must have noticed a difference to the kind of people that were coming out to see him. Well, this is exactly what Robbie had to say.
The first time I noticed it was Angels had been out and I was doing something for a radio station. And they'd organised this live thing that I was doing. You know, it was an unplugged thing for the radio station that people had bought tickets to come and see. And there was 100 people in the audience. And 50 of them, because I counted, were blokes. And it was like that. Did you know that you were coming to see me? Was this just a lucky thing that, you know, there was this we'll get a ticket and whoever it is, and you know, and the fact is they'd come to see me, which was like, wow. You know, and that was the first time that I noticed it had changed. I didn't know how to perform in front of these people or to keep eye contact with them. And now that I realise that, you know, the way I've been performing when I was in Take That, the way I perform my songs now is good enough to perform in front of anybody of any age range, of be they male or female, you know. And that's great to know. I was thinking, should I modify the antics that I get up to on stage for Glastonbury? And when I got up on there, I didn't modify anything, you know, and it worked, which is a blessing.
There you go, going crackers. And a couple of messages in. Eugenio says, I was wondering if the Alan Robson's podcast is produced by the radio station or by Alan Robson independently. It's absolutely free, gratis and for nothing, and I do it independently. It's nothing to do with the company. And Liam's been on, says the podcast idea is amazing. Thanks to Alan and the team. I love listening. Great idea. Good. Glad you like it. Check it out. And let's know what you think. And if there's other stories that you want me to tell about particular people or particular things, happy to go and do that for you as well. A couple of folk have given me ideas. The one I'm currently researching is a very sexy lady who died in the most horrible way. I'm working on that as we speak and looking forward to being able to share that one with you once it's It's done and dusted. Lots of other things to talk about. Tony the taxi driver says, I am so tough that I tell my wife when her Yorkshire puddings are stodgy. Mind you, I've only dared to do that the once. I've also jumped out of a plane, abseiled out of a helicopter, and was a machine gunner in a helicopter gunship. But the first thing I did with the Yorkshire pudding was the bravest. Yeah, there's certain things you just don't say anything negative about, and Yorkshire puddings happens to be one of them things. We're still in search of the world's greatest biscuit now. We've just fallen on this. But was it truly the gypsy cream? Can you remember gypsy creams? They were very, very special biscuits. And were they the all-time best? Bicky, though, that's the thing. You see, whenever they do a survey, you always get chocolate digestive coming through, and I don't see that. I don't see that at all. Or Nice biscuits. You know, the Nice biscuit. No. What about, I'll tell you, if you're looking for a European interloper who might well steal a place in the Great Biscuit Top 10, Choco Leibniz. Have you had a Choco Leibniz before? They're a very plain biscuit, but you get about half an inch of chocolate on the top. So it's kind of worth having, you know what I mean? And also, what do you think about what they've done to Kit Kats? Lemon Kit Kat? Minty Kit Kat? What's going? Cookies and cream Kit Kat? What? Somebody's messing with trouble, in my opinion. Anyway, let's go. I promised you Anfield Plain. Alison's there. Let's have a word. Hello, Alison.
Hi there, Alan.
Hello, darling. What you got for us tonight, then?
Well, it was just on your post on Facebook when you were about doing the kind of the gutsiest thing you've ever done.
Yeah.
For me, it was last year. I don't know whether you recall, I rang you last year when we were trying to do some fundraising for my ex-husband.
Uh-huh.
He'd been diagnosed with cancer.
Yes.
And basically I stepped in to look after him for the last 6 months of his life, basically. It's a year this week that he passed away.
Blimey.
And it was one of the hardest things I've ever done. But also everybody was telling me that I shouldn't be doing it because I'm married again and we were divorced 17 years ago. So,
I can understand people saying that was then. Did he just not have anybody?
Well, we had 2 children together, so we had my children, but he didn't have a partner at the time, so he was kind of on his own in that respect.
Were you with somebody at the time or not?
Yeah, I was married. But we were friends.
What did he say, though? By the way, I'm going to look after, wash, clean, tidy, and maybe even bathe me ex. Blimey, that's a real head trip for a bloke, isn't it?
It was.
Because we're not good with that stuff at the best of times.
It was really difficult for Rob, my current husband. But what the big thing was, we were kind of all friends.
Right.
So we had a really good, friendship group.
Uh-huh.
And he was friends with my ex-husband, and I've always kept it like that for the kids.
Uh-huh.
But then when he was taken ill, he'd been having pains in his back, and he kept ringing me saying, "Oh, I'm sure there's something wrong. I'm sure there's something wrong." And it took 4 times going back to accident and emergency for them finally to diagnose what was wrong.
Right.
They just kept giving him painkillers, and I think at the time what made me do it is I'd lost my dad when I was 18, and quite suddenly, and I thought my children were 24, 25 and 27 at the time, and I thought I don't want them to have to go through this in such detail. I would rather that they were there to spend time with their dad rather than having to do all the phone calls and prescription runs and all the kind of the hard things. No, taking them to the hospital all the time.
No, absolutely. I found myself doing that for my parents when they got to that certain age, when they were getting close to their time. And I must say, I had to do some disgusting and horrible personal things to my parents that I don't think any child should personally have to do. But there's nobody else to do it. So you find yourself kind of in that role, whether you like it or not. But I must say, when I got out of that situation in my especially my mum went into a home that, blimey, I was so relieved. First of all, I wasn't very good at it, but washing your mum after being in the toilets and all of this kind of, it just feels
Luckily,
wrong.
I was quite lucky that I used to work for the NHS, so I knew the system a little bit. So when he kind of came home, because the first thing that happened, he got took in and they had to remove a third of his spine and build it up with cages and things like that. Social services, absolutely brilliant. Care packages were absolutely brilliant. Macmillan were fantastic.
Yeah, they're great.
I made sure that I got a package together for him. So he had absolutely everything that he needed.
Great.
And then, but unfortunately, things took a turn quite quickly, so he ended up in hospital for quite a bit of the time.
Did that whole time, though, and I know that your partner was friends, and you can only be friends to a certain degree with an ex, because men, whether we like it or not, we get a bit competitive, we get a bit, do you still have feelings? Do you tell me this and tell me that? Or you're going over there again? Surely that must have created a few, harsh words between you, I thought.
There was a few interesting conversations.
I bet.
And it was, like, I can't thank him enough now, because he supported me through the whole thing.
Good man. I tell you, I would have had a real job with that. And no disrespect to him or you, and of course you're the mother of his children, so I kind of understand it. But blimey, I would not have been.
That's what all the family was saying.
I'd not have been good with that. I really wouldn't.
But it's kind of like I see it as when somebody's in that position, he never asked to be in that position. He never.
No.
Not in a million years did he ever dream that was going to happen to him. He was only 53.
Nothing is it?
And it was such a big blow that I couldn't get my head around the fact that he wasn't going to get another Christmas, he wasn't going to get another birthday, and who was I to kind of not step up to the mark, because
amazing.
I had to kind of. I think if you were put in that situation, a lot of people might turn around and say, you just feel the need to help and to be there, and there was no way I could let him be on his own any way of the journey. You
did magnificently, Alison, and you're quite right. It is to commit and see that through is huge. That's absolutely huge. Hey, so well done. Let's hope nothing like that ever has to be done again. Because the thought of it.
But I do urge anybody that's listening that's put in that situation. Often the concerns and the worries that people have are for themselves, and like who's going to think what, and who's going to have an opinion, and everybody had their own opinion, and everybody had kind of their view of how they would do it and what they should be doing and how I was doing things so wrong. You've got to go inside and just kind of think, is this the right thing to do? And ignore everybody that's kind of giving you that, you shouldn't be doing that, or I wouldn't do that.
I just think, to me, and I'm being completely honest, it was probably selfish in my regard, and I don't deny it. Didn't ever think at any time in my life that I'd have to spend my time cleaning up your parents' mess, if you know what I mean, or she's fallen off the commode again. You've got to come home immediately, and it's like, blimey.
When people said to me, I never in a million years, we were divorced 17 years ago, thought that I would be the one who would be with him when he died. I never,
shows your heart.
I never,
shows your heart. You got a heart like the dustbin lid, lass. You have, absolutely.
Some people just say it's sheer stupidity.
But you did the right thing. I tell you, doing the right thing at the right time is one of the hardest things to do, and pointless trying to get your head around it now. You did the right thing, and
looking back, it was the right thing to do, it was difficult. It's taken us quite a bit to get over it and kind of get through it and deal with all the emotions, but it was definitely the right thing for him, and I would never regret a second of it. And I've got to say it as well to some hospice as well, where the hospice he was in for his last 3 or 4 weeks were just
amazing,
mind-blowingly amazing.
Yeah.
I couldn't thank them enough. They understood the situation we were in, and they were brilliant.
It's always the thing that they push, and they're absolutely right to push it is, it's how can you get this person to live the last few weeks of life that they have, and they manage to do that with a smile, and they take the weight off so many people who are at breaking point. They're very special. Hey, but well done, Alison. Bless you, darling. Thank you for coming on, and you deserve all the plaudits that you get. Thanks for coming with us.
Thank you.
Cheers, Alison. Bye-bye. Now, I'm going to talk to Peter in Backwith in a second, and I'm also going to bring another biscuit into the fray.
Call Alan Robson's Night Owls now.
0191 488 3188.
This is real life conversation with the voice of the North.
Greatest Hits Radio.
Now, it seems that the biscuit thing is starting to take off, so make sure you text Alan, A-L-A-N, plus your message to 61054. 61054. And let me know, because Ben Maborden has said, Alan, my favourite biscuit is the Viscount. Oh, now you're talking posher ones. They're big green. I seem to remember them being like a green, shiny cover on it. And minty, the mint one. And I also need the Night Owls to settle whether a Jaffa cake is a cake or a biscuit. Is it a biscuit or a cake? I think a Jaffa cake is a biscuit pretending to be a cake. Calls itself a cake. Isn't really a cake, is it? It's in the biscuit aisle with the biscuits, nowhere near the cakes. It can't even be in the sweetie aisle where you can buy them little mini Jaffery cake things. So, no, I think it's a biscuit, definitely pretending to be a cake. But I'm open to being corrected if you feel otherwise. But best biscuits, there's so many really good. Toffee Pop. Can't believe nobody's mentioned a Toffee Pop yet. That's a biscuit and 3/4, isn't it? And I just think stuff like clubs are kind of old-fashioned now. Kit Kat tried to spread their wings by stealing some of their flavours. Not sure about that at all. Old-fashioned Kit Kat's pretty special. But talking the greatest biscuit of all time, and if you want to join in, feel free. Meanwhile, Peter is with us. He's in Backwith. Hello, Peter.
Oh, Alan, all right, mate?
Good man. What you got for us tonight?
Well, as far as the biscuits gone, Viscount me out for the Viscount. I mean, they ain't good at anybody, them.
No, so what's your flavour then?
Gold bar.
Oh, the gold bar. That's got a different kind of taste, hasn't it, the gold bar?
It's a little bit like a Karamak, a little bit, eh?
It is a bit. You're quite right. It's a funny colour as well, so it's kind of Karamak-y.
A little bit diarrhea. A little bit diarrhea blast.
Unfortunately, I know only too well what you're talking about.
The back end of a Ben's nappy. So that's leaks like.
But they do have a different kind of flavour altogether. It's nice.
Well, like I say, unique. It means I suppose you could call it.
Yeah, I think it's nice. Gold bar. That's a good potential. Could be the choice of the night. You never know. Might start a rush on.
I'll stand by that, Alan. I'll definitely stand by that.
Good man. Okay. Bravest thing you've ever done then? What's that?
Bravest thing I've ever done. I mean, bravest and stupidest, mind, Alan. I mean, unfortunately, my next door neighbour had a house fire a good few years ago now.
Right. Yeah.
And like, luckily enough, you know, he was outside and while everyone in the street was running.
Yeah.
But he had one of them, blind dogs, the golden retrievers.
Right.
Well, that was still in the house, wasn't it?
Oh, blimey, right.
So, me being me, obviously trying to get someone else to do it first and running after it, but, no one volunteered.
Right.
So I had to do it, and I went in, the house was fully ablaze, and unfortunately for me, I searched and nearly killed myself, I think I've got 3rd-degree burns all over the back of my legs.
Did you know where the dog was supposed to be then?
Well, it was blind. It wasn't a blind dog. It wasn't a gate dog.
Oh,
The dog
I'm
was
sorry.
blind.
Right, the dog was actually
I didn't
blind.
need to say sorry. The bloke needed to say sorry because I went in the house and it was fully ahead.
Yeah.
The dog was blind and the dog walked in the next door neighbour's house earlier that day. Luckily enough for the dog. So, because if it was blind, it's went out for a walk or something like that. It's walking in the next door neighbour's garden. The house is set ahead and
you went in looking for the damn thing.
Oh, crazy, mate. Honestly, But I'll not set the house alight again because I nearly went to jail for it.
Right. Right, that's you talk. Well, thank you very much for the story. Blimey. Nearly went to jail for it, so we best move swiftly on. Best biscuits coming in by the score. How about this? This is from Anne. She says, the best biscuits ever. Fox's Vienna. They're crumbly biscuits with a chocolate centre, and also I like plain rich tea with butter on. Ooh, blimey. I remember a member of my family, I think one of my aunties did that. Just comes across as odd to me. Not good to dunk, though. No, you need a bit of salty in the water, not with the butter, because it's got to be Lurpak and it's got to be salty, although other brands do compete. So what do you think? Fox's Vienna, anybody had them? Are they up there? The Gold Bar, if you haven't tried a Gold Bar, that's a contender right there. Going to take another quick break then, a musical break of joyous extravagance. And this, I wasn't going to play, but Hollywood McShane is wearing a Union Jack dress at the moment, so I feel that I just have to do this to placate him. Looking through the glass at producer Hollywood McShane, swaying to the music and singing every word. I really wouldn't like to go through that again. But anyway, let's crack on. I've got the first of 4 clues for you. Okay, and then you put the 4 answers together and you tell me what they all have in common. The first clue is a word meaning stressed or something rammed where the sun doesn't shine. There. A word that means stressed or rammed where the sun doesn't shine. Okay, same phrase. But what word's that? Stressed. 3 more to come. You're 1 clue down. You'll get the second one in less than half an hour. Anyway, let's crack on. We have next Sandra, and she's in Wallsend. Hi, Sandra.
Hello, Alan. How are you?
I'm very well, my love. Thank you kindly. So, what are you talking about tonight?
I haven't phoned you for a while, but I have been listening since you came on air again on the Sunday.
Bless you. Thank you, darling. Appreciate it.
I just wanted to carry on the conversation about the cooperage.
Right.
I've got many, many happy memories of time spent in the cooperage from many years ago.
Yeah.
Absolutely fun. Oh, I just loved it. And we used to often go from work, like, a Friday night out when we meet in the Red House and then spend the rest, then walk along to there.
Yes.
And I also had my engagement party in the cooperage.
Did you? Blimey.
And it was the reason for it. I remember at the time we loved going in there, and because the families came from different areas, we were trying to find somewhere where no one family had a long way to travel.
Right, yeah.
So we wanted somewhere kind of central, and we had it in the cooperage. And I remember one of the funniest things was obviously at the end of the night, the parents and a lot of older people had been on the whiskies and on the vodka and stuff and trying to get down them steps. I mean, it was hilarious because I was past myself. I kept thinking, I'm going to have to get ambulance. Yeah,
because you're never going to get them up to the top. They've got to come down, haven't they?
Well, I know, and by the after a night of drinking sauce and beer and whatever, and it was a nightmare. But I mean, it was a great laugh. But I heard a while ago that there was talk of them like demolishing it, and I just think it's such a shame, Alan, because I think that we seem to be losing a lot of these like iconic sort of buildings. It's for heritage.
Yeah, I agree.
And I mean, the Quayside, yes, it's lovely, and when you see it on TV, it makes you very proud. But I think that to get the balance right and do these things in keeping, and even if they made it like as one of your callers said, somewhere like a visitor centre, but you could have a nice restaurant as well, because although there's a lot of nice restaurants along there, I think sometimes if you go somewhere, like when you go to Blackfriars and still the original building and places like that with a nice theme.
Yeah, but I mean, if you think about it, you're right next to the river down there, and if you had, and we're just thinking out the box, if you had something like they do with places like Beamish, unless Beamish take it down brick by brick and rebuild it on Beamish, but if you could have some of the the Beamish style things. Like you go in there and you can have your traditional northeastern foods.
Yes, yeah.
So instead of going to somewhere for, your traditional takeaway, because let's face it, you can get some amazing food from all over the world down the quayside. But if you wanted standard, traditional northeastern fare, straight off the boat, because let's face it, other end of the Tyne, you're talking, you've got the jetty where all the boats come in, and but you could make it into a. You said a heritage centre, a museum, a place where all the school kids could come and see how people make barrels, made beer, smuggled, all of those kind of things. I mean, I can see it working. It's kind of need a big injection of cash to turn it around. Is the thing.
To do it. I know. You see, I just feel that obviously we're losing a lot of these places, and it's kids in the future. Yeah, okay, they might get told about this here, that was there, but I think to actually go into these places and see them, and you get the atmosphere better, and the feeling, and tours and stuff like go to Beamish. You kind of go back to that generation sort of thing. Well, and I just really, it's something I felt quite sad about when I heard, and I just hope that the campaign that they've got going, I really hope that they can keep it, because
if you look along both banks of the river, yes, you've got the Red House, and it's a nice house, and it's done to be a nice restaurant, and and it's got a plaque. That's all. Having a plaque is always a nice thing. It's got a plaque. but the bottom line is, it doesn't look particularly old. It doesn't look particularly ancient. And yet, just up the road, you got the dog leap stairs that fits in with the Red House story, of course. But around the corner, you've got this work of art with the stairs at the side. Somebody suggested, could it not be a seafarer's or pirate bar? And you're thinking, I'd go back if it was a pirate bar. But you see, that's just part of its history. It's bound to have. If it had people press ganged into serving, some of them would have ended up on a pirate ship somewhere down the lane. You would imagine. It's just to have all of that history on our doorstep, and it's still in one piece at the moment. Be just nice to keep it that way, wouldn't it?
I mean, that's the lovely thing about Newcastle, and of course the whole area. There's so much history and heritage here, and I think really sometimes it's not making any money. Let's just sell it to somebody and make a shopping centre or whatever they want.
But the quayside has this habit of there's an old building. Somebody's bought it. But they can't afford to do anything. Suddenly there's a fire. There's always on the quayside. There's always a fire, miraculous fire that comes along. Hey, those crazy kids, it is always a fire just when you need one. And before you know where it is, it's either accommodation for students, it's a brand new trendy bar, a hotel, or apartment building. We've seen it 1,000 times, haven't we? Though
it has the place is burned to the ground, and nothing left of it other than your memories. And that's what I mean. It's there are plenty of places if you want. If younger people or whatever your taste is, if you want to go somewhere that's modern and trendy, there's plenty of places. But I do think you've got to keep, because in years to come, a lot of these buildings won't exist. That's the thing. We'll not have any of the original buildings. And I think, I know it will take a lot of money, these things do, but there must be people around, even if it was like a consortium together to do something to restore it, if not for the historical part of it.
No, absolutely. The interesting thing is, if we were just saying, that used to be a nice bar. I've seen a few nice, because I remember the Mayfair when they closed that down. I was in tears when that place went. I mean,
I used to spend time when I've spoken to you about it before. Going to see people like Martha Hooper and things up the Mayfair.
ACDC, blimey. They're all been at the Mayfair. Motorhead. Name a big rock band of the day, and there were. I mean, people from abroad, Ted Nugent, I remember. I mean, amazing gigs at the Mayfair. And the thing that everybody worried about was because there wasn't anything to replace it at the time. I know the O2 Academy's come and done a great job and still puts on a lot of really good bands. respect to that, but there's still room for a Mayfair, you know, in the great scheme of things. I still feel that.
And I mean, we used to go like Christmas and things. I think the Mayfair was unique because it was the way it was with those beautiful chandeliers and you know the big tables and the place. I mean, the place used to just be fantastic. If you got a band on there when you went to see a band, it was just something about the Mayfair. I haven't got anything like that.
The whole place shook, and it's the only place I know where you could ravish a woman in a long coat in the corner, and all that would happen is the bouncer would wink at you and say, "Hurry up, son! Hurry up, son!"
I know, and there was a lot of little nooks and crannies.
Crannies, blame me, we knew the nooks. We also knew the crannies.
What does that say? I really hope that. I mean, I'm not on social media, but I'm going to look out for any websites that are going to try and support for the coverage, and I'll certainly join that campaign because it's something that I just think is a fantastic building, and we need to keep that building if we can. Right. So that was all my call was about, really, Alan.
Well, that's great. Thank you very much for coming on, Sandra.
No bother.
Great to hear from you. All the best.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Dan. Bye-bye. You see, I didn't want to delve too carefully over the nooks and crannies because people use the nooks and crannies for different things. The Cooperage has just the history. The Mayfair couldn't compare with that other than kind of a rock and roll history. My worst moment at Newcastle Mayfair was when I was unconscious with the drink. I mean, totally and utterly unconscious with the drink, and lying upstairs on the carpet, and the band playing was Roy Wood's Wizard. See My Baby Jive. Oh, yeah, I think so. And Roy Wood's Wizard was playing, and I remember the bouncer waking me up while I was lying on the floor. And the problem was somebody had walked over my hair, because I had very long hair, and there was some bubble gum on the carpet, and my hair stuck to the bubble gum, and he couldn't rip me off the bubble gum. So what he did, he got some scissors out of his pocket and just went and left like half me hair stuck to the chewy on the carpet. Nightmare. That took months to get the hairiness back again. I bet I looked pretty damn stupid too. And then I remember when they got me up, they just walked me to the door, which is up a lot of steps, and hurled me to the pavement. Anyway, James, I probably deserved it. James from Annetts Ford is with us next. Hi, James.
Hi, Alan, mate.
Hello, man. What you got for me?
I remember last week I said the twins are coming up.
Yes.
From Motor. I've never seen them since before. It went really, really well.
Oh, that's great news.
But at first they were like hesitant because I heard them outside saying, "You knock first, or you knock first." Yeah, I just opened the door, you know. The first 1.5 hours was like really, you know, tense, you know.
Now, I can imagine before everybody loosened up and realised that everybody in the house loved each other. That's the thing.
Well, I took them for a meal and I've done your suggestion. I got a little big box of chocolate.
Great.
And a thank you card for our mum, for that stepmom.
Yes.
And I've got thank you. But I've been in contact with them about 3 or 4 times since.
Right.
But I'm not pushing her. I'll let them contact me first. I don't know if that's right or wrong. I don't know.
Well, I mean, it's what it is have I been successful in what my aim was, which was essentially to win them back into your life?
Yeah.
You'll find out now. But I think the fact that they're just sending a little thank you to saying so many people would just say, don't do it, and, you know, try and put their kids off because they've got their own family unit in the, you know, and I understand that, absolutely. I think it takes a certain type of person to keep the other party in the life of their children. So easy to try and put them off. I hate all that.
Yeah, I took them for a little meal and that, and I thanked them for it and all that. And I give them numbers and everything for the rest of the family and whatnot. Right. It went doing well.
Good.
It went doing well, Alan.
That's great.
But the only trouble is when I got that big box of chocolates at the local shop. Oh, man. because like I was rushing, do you know? And it was right on the top shelf, and I got the big box of chocolates, and the bottom shelf collapsed. On the other side, right. All the coffee went all over, and oh my God, I've got to. How much? Oh, you know what? No, it was unstable. It shouldn't have done that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because the whole shelf on the left side just went whoosh. But I saw it, and I got your T-shirt, Alan.
Hey,
thank you very much.
Good. Glad you got it.
And that was a big thank you for that box of chocolates, like, because I never thought of that. You know,
I know. It just a little bit of you scratch my back kind of thing, because it works, that kind of stuff, you know.
Yeah, but you're on about the hardest things you've ever done.
Yeah.
Well, the hardest thing I've done was when my daughter passed. Had to go into my flat, and that was really hard. You know, with the forensics and all that, with handprints and all that, and oh my goodness.
What happened?
Where she got murdered down.
Oh, good grief.
You know? But the thing is, the lad what done it, he's clinically insane.
Right.
Yeah, so he's doing...
Doesn't make it any better,
Yeah,
does it?
plus, no, doesn't make it any better. But that was the hardest thing I ever done, especially when I seen like Christmas boxes and that wrapped up for her and all that, and the Christmas cards and all that, you know.
I don't know how you got through that without
it
breaking into
still
pieces.
affects us, I cannot be lying. It still does. It still does. With our landlord, he couldn't get the door open. You know, this was like late February when he managed to get the door open. And it was 3 days. Where you can't do, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and I had to like tell you up a little bit. That's the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. I've done some hard things, but that beats the biscuit, that one. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, for sure. I can't even imagine.
You know.
Hey, but James, thank you so much.
Anyway,
great to hear from
you. Anyway, you're right about the nightclubs and that in Newcastle, like.
Yeah.
It's up on. The Tixura Royal was good and all, man.
Yeah, no, absolutely, I can't deny it. Spoiled for choice back in the day. Thanks for coming on, James.
Yeah, thank you, Alan.
Cheers, mate. Bye-bye. And you see, this is the thing with night owls. The more you talk, the more you find out stuff. And there's our friend there in Anitsford, and his daughter murdered by some crazy person. My goodness. It just goes to show you that behind the scenes of what night owls is and what it's become over the years, so many people carrying an awful lot of weight, and if you don't talk about it, it weighs you down. If you've got something you want to talk about too, I'm here. Give me a call, 0191 488 3188. Love to find out. Wherever you happen to be upon planet Earth, we'd love your call, 0191 488 3188. Now, cake or biscuit, all is about to be revealed. After this, Bengali Bong. Love it! Brass in pocket. And I wear this book, this brass. Fabulous Pretenders. A lot of text coming in, but before that, your second clue. I said it was literally just around the corner. The first clue is a word meaning stressed or rammed up where the sun doesn't shine. Okay? That's your first clue. Incidentally, I'm going to throw a copy of this DVD in with our prize tonight. So you'll either get a mug and the DVD of Blind Dave Healy if you fancy having a watch. It's great stuff. So, first two clues. Word meaning stressed or rammed where the sun doesn't shine. Second clue, Duke Ellington's more recent nickname. Jazz aficionado from the 50s and 60s. Duke Ellington's more recent nickname. Two clues down, two more to come. Very quickly, some tweets, and then we got Omar waiting. And Rick in Stockton-on-Tees, is it true that if the SNP get their wish and become independent, all drug use and possession will be legal in Scotland? I've heard that said by a couple, and there's a few politicians in England, Wales and Ireland too that think the best way to get rid of drugs on the streets is to legalise them all. There's an argument for it. Alan says, the best biscuit? 5, 4, 3, 2, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, that one. Or the trio. This give me a chance to sing. And Alan says, hi, it's Lee from New Biggin. Have you ever been to Portugal before? It's really nice. Food, friendly people, very lovely, gorgeous weather. Anyway, I'd like a shout out to Susan on night shift, my mother, and the staff at a posh hotel they stayed out last night for my birthday. They were very helpful to me because I'm blind. And my favourite biscuit is the new Hobnob with chocolate chips inside. Oh, you see. There's stuff out there I haven't tried yet. Going to have to give that a go. And Portugal's lovely. I've been to the Algarve a couple of times. Very nice. And the capital. It says, hi, Alan, I'm so tough when I hit people on the bus. When they tell me to turn my radio down or off, I don't do earphones since I'm single. And I've sung about Borough in the Newcastle and Sunderland end when they've sung about hating each other halfway through the game. And about biscuits, Ali says, Lotus Biscoff caramelised biscuits that come in little packets with a coffee in posh places. My daughter found me a full packet the other day. Lovely jubbly. Never had a Biscoff. Going to have to give them a try. They sound posh. And let's crack on. I mentioned the Jaffa Cake thing after, I think it was Ben sent a text in asking the question. Well, I was wrong. I was wrong all along. And the man who knows these things is Omar from heaven. Hi, Omar.
How you doing, Alan?
I was asleep. I was in a coma when all this happened. Tell us what went on anyway for the benefit of the house.
Well, you know, I had to do a bit of fact-checking on that one because I'm glad you didn't read the email out. This comes... actually, this is in two parts because I remember having this argument with a bunch of work colleagues years and years ago.
Right.
And it was quite a heated screaming match outside a cafe in London. The Jaffa Cake thing goes back to 1991 when McVitie's won a legal battle with the European Court over taxation of said Jaffa Cake. In the UK, basic foods are not subject to VAT, and that includes cake and things like milk.
Right.
And McVitie's were arguing that they shouldn't have to be paying tax, which they would have, the VAT would have been passed on to their customers anyway. But they were arguing in the European courts that they shouldn't have to be paying tax because fundamentally a Jaffa Cake is a sponge cake,
right,
with the orangey Jaffa stuff and a topping of chocolate.
Right.
But the way they won the court case was the fact that they were able to prove that when a Jaffa Cake becomes stale, it goes hard.
Right.
As all cakes do. Whereas a biscuit, when it goes stale, becomes soft.
Right.
And that was the ruling.
So therefore, if a biscuit... Yeah, I've got it. So if you're a cake and you go hard, you go off. If you're a biscuit, when you go stale, you get soft.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Now,
that makes absolute sense.
Marks and Spencer's had a similar thing back in, I think it was early 2000s. And they were in a similar argument with the taxman over tea cakes.
Right.
Now, this I don't actually understand because a tea cake is essentially a biscuit with the marshmallow and then chocolate topping.
Gotcha, yeah.
But they had somehow successfully argued that a tea cake was actually a cake and therefore was not subject to VAT. It won, I think they got $3.5 million deducted off their tax bill for that one.
But so, using the same rule of thumb that we used for the Jaffa Cake...
But for entirely the wrong reason.
But surely if you leave, because, I mean, I live on the Scottish borders where Tunnocks tea cakes are the order of the day, but tea cakes in general, if you left them out, they would not go hard, would they?
They'd go all soft and mushy, wouldn't they?
Yeah, you would think. So it's the reverse reason, but M&S got away with it. So
indeed.
Yeah, just by calling a thing a cake, they made it a cake.
I don't know if there is any historical precedent with tea cakes in that maybe once upon a time it was a sponge cake base.
Right.
And eventually replaced by biscuit because it was easier to manufacture. Or maybe Tunnocks introduced a biscuit version and that became the norm.
It's fascinating. What is your biscuit of choice now then, Omar?
That's a tough one, isn't it? I am partial to a nice custard cream every so often.
Custard cream. You see, old school still works, doesn't it? That's the thing.
There's something about Morrison's custard creams. I know that they're cheap as out, but you get so many in a packet, and that packet just disappears.
And that'll do. Do you know the one thing that I've never been able to understand? Oreo. In America, they're monstrous. You know, everybody loves them in their ice creams and their puddings and their all of this, and they've got different fillings and different colours. I don't get I don't get it. I don't think they taste particularly nice.
I don't get it either. I think it was just really clever brand marketing back in the 50s and 60s with the Americans, because it just tastes like an off custard cream.
Kinda. That's exactly it. But
or a really dodgy bourbon.
Yeah, a slightly off bourbon is where I would go with that. But
there's a marketing campaign we can get behind in Britain. Say goodbye to dodgy bourbon. Buy a proper custard cream.
Excellent. How's things? You all right then, Omar?
Yeah, work's kind of up and down, and I've been kind of bouncing around all over the place again. So I'm going to be Omar from Harlow for a couple of weeks during the next coming months.
Well, stay well. Look after yourself. We look forward to talking soon. Cheers, Omar. All the best.
And I still owe you a lesson, remember?
No, I have not forgotten, but bless you. Well, hopefully, once I get back, we'll make that happen, okay?
Excellent stuff.
Thanks, man. Bye-bye. You take care, too. Lots of things that I need to get doing, but can't until we get a few more days under our belt. James Geary. I'm sorry. Blue Ribbons. Come on. I can eat a whole packet in one go. But how do you pronounce it? Ooh, yeah. Blue Riband. Yeah, because I used to call it blue riband, because isn't that blue riband? But even me mum used to call it blue riband for some reason. And Ben Mabon, that's right, that's it. I'm with you, Alan, about Jaffa Cakes. Okay, we've nailed it shut. So I'm going to take one more call. Then I've got a little bit of blah. I think we'll be able to take a quick break, and then we'll do some blah. Sean is in Stanley County. Hello, Sean.
How are you doing, son? All right.
I'm okay, thank you.
In Stanley?
Well, I've got Stanley written here, but Concert springs to mind. I don't know. Obviously, Nicholas is trying to move you further down the hill. Anyway, what you got for me then, Sean?
About the bloke that's just done the record for the 2 hours?
Yes.
Now, they've turned around and said that they're not going to recognise it.
Yes.
Why not?
Well, there's two reasons why not. One, it was not at a recognised event. You know, one that's
well, that doesn't make any difference, Alan. You know, anybody. You know, there was thousands and thousands of people lining the streets knew it was going to happen.
Yeah, but what he did was apparently he had a number of people acting as his timekeepers, you know, to run in front of him for certain periods so that he could build his speed up. Now, that wouldn't happen in a normal race. You wouldn't have, like, somebody working just for you, if you know what I mean. So, therefore, if he's got 2 or 3 people, one who...
Well, you've always got people run with you. You know, you've always got your... What do I call them?
Opposition?
You know, no. People, you know, that'll drop out.
Well, yes, but not everybody. You know, when Mo Farah does the Great North Run, he doesn't have, like, somebody that'll do the first third of the race and then somebody that'll come in and do the second half just to keep his speed up. He just runs the race, and if he wins it, he wins it. Because if you do that, then all of the professional runners should be allowed to have their person running to build their speed up. But he had that. He was the only one that had that. So, therefore, they're not recognising the... He still did it. They accept that he did it. But he did it with help of, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 other runners
I don't understand how people can say that it's just because it's happened because
But he's got four people helping him, you see.
Doesn't matter.
You don't think so?
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't matter. No, it doesn't matter.
But they might have been tripping people up and knocking them over walls and all kinds of things.
Well, no, because at the end of the day, you know, you've got like Great North Fuel and you've got the London Marathon, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You've got about 30 or 40 of them, right?
Yeah.
That runs like elite, right? And then you've got your people running for charity at the back, right?
Right.
Well, they're running to get prize money, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can understand. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I would do away with the prize money, and it should be all charity they're running for.
Right. Well, I mean, he was running to break the record on purpose, so he used 2 or 3 people to run for him. Now, if you were having a fair race, you would have people running for everybody. You know,
there's people there's ones that run the 10,000 meters.
Mm-hmm.
And they have like people in front of them, and then they drop out.
Yes, but if they were for everybody, that's fair. If they're just for one person, that's not so fair, is it?
I don't know. I think you should.
I think it's ever since you moved to Stanley, you're forgetting what's you're forgetting what's fair and what's unfair.
It wouldn't take me 5 minutes to run that. That would break another record. There. So the rugby. Getting on to the rugby.
Yeah.
And I think we've got the All Blacks. I know the England's got the Australians, but we've got the All Blacks. Ooh, dear me. Well, we've beat them before, so we can beat them again, hopefully.
Yeah, we'll see. Time will tell.
I don't know about the English. I don't know if they'll beat Australia this time around.
It's a shout, isn't it? It's a shout. Mind you, what do you think of England's football team as well? Blimey.
Oh, well, I've got nothing with them anyway. You know what I mean? I'm more from the Republic of Ireland.
Yeah. No, I hear you.
You know what I mean? Everybody has their own. You know what I mean?
No, for sure.
But at the end of the day, no, I don't know. I don't know. I think everything that England go into, well, no matter what kind of sport it is, they always get an easy way out of it, don't they? Ireland, you know, they've had it hard in the cricket and things like that, and any sport that Ireland does, they've always had a hard
road. Yeah, well, I hear that. I just have to wish them luck and hope that it comes off for you, Sean.
You see, at the end of the day, England could be, when the next one comes round, in the middle of next year, they could be drawn with France, Germany, Spain, and that's the way it should be. Ireland's always been drawn with France, Spain, and Italy in their groups.
Yes.
So I can't understand why England can't be drawn with them as well.
That begs a question, doesn't it?
So how are you feeling yourself?
Oh, I'm all right. I'm fine. I'm just.
How's the wife?
She's good. Thank you kindly.
You're nearly a couple of years married, aren't you?
Don't take me there. It's a dark place, Sean. My memory dates. Oh, come on.
When you get 27 years. So.
Yeah, well, hey.
And you can.
Come that glorious day. Hey, lovely talking to you, though, Sean.
Take care, mate.
Thanks. Let me know when you move back to concert, all right? Take it easy. Bye-bye. 0191 488 31. Get your calls in. Now, I don't know whether you've noticed, but it's in the sky right now, and it's huge. It's humongous out there. It is one of the biggest moons I've seen in rather a while, which makes this even more appropriate. You've probably been outside to have a look at the whole of the moon. It's there, and it's massive, and it's a lovely damn thing, isn't it? This time of year, I don't know what it is, makes the moon bonnier when you're looking out of the window and it's freezing and the wind's blowing, and you can see that looking down, just keeping us safe and keeping the tides nice and nifty. Right, I think it is time that we did something that we loosely describe as the blah. So what exactly is the blah? If you don't know, where have you been? Spread the word of the owl. It's where we gather the team together. We have producer to the stars, Hollywood McShane.
Evening.
And we also have woken Nicola up from her gin-induced slumber.
Hello.
So, Sean's from Stanley.
No.
No, he's not. He's from Constantly. You see,
This machine said it was from Stanley.
the machine said, computer said, do you remember that?
Computer says no.
Computer says no.
Stanley.
Absolutely. Anyway, we all managed to have a bit of crack about stuff that's going on. I think we want to also chip in, before we go any further, biscuit of choice.
I like the Fox's Melts. They're my favourite.
Oh, a Fox's
They're very good for dipping because they're like rectangular.
Right.
I like Rington's ginger snaps. I've got
Ginger
to be the
snap.
Rington as well.
Every woman should have a little bit of ginger in them, in my opinion.
Or a chocolate hobnob. I like a chocolate hobnob.
Chocolate hobnob, there you go. I'm torn because somebody brought up a biscuit from the past, the Gypsy Cream.
We'd never heard of that. We were looking at each other going, what?
It's a biscuit of a certain time. I would guess as you were being born, the pair of you probably. Round about that time. It used to be like a granny biscuit. You'd go to your nana's and your nana would say, "Do you like a Gypsy Cream?" And she'd come out and there were 2 bits of biscuit, nice flavoured biscuit with like a light chocolate filling. Really light.
Do they still do them then?
I've got no idea, but it just
I've never
brought back a really nice
No.
memory. And the other thing is, we're coming up to Halloween. Do you want to tell everybody what's going on then?
Yeah, well, we're doing it on YouTube this year for the first time ever, so you can see you can see everything that you do.
See everything that you do.
Yeah, well, not that I do, because I'm filming it, I guess.
Yeah. So, what? Yeah, the thing is, we're not on air, on radio at the time, so we thought rather than let you guys down, we'd go out and get something done at a scary place, and this time give you a chance to see it and watch it on YouTube.
We've got some night vision cameras, so it should be looking good.
Well, we'll do our darndest. We don't know what's going to happen, but
No, you never do, though, do you?
We'll do our darndest. And let us dive into what the... Oh, Henry, just when we're talking ghosts, I know a lot of people don't believe in ghosts, and one of those people that I don't think was terribly certain was Nicola, until we took you to the lighthouse. Sutter Lighthouse, when something or things kind of pushed you into a corner.
I was in the corner of the room, and then there was like a bang, but the seat actually dragged across the floor that I was sitting in, but it was a big, heavy wooden seat.
Yeah.
And I must have moved about 3 foot across the floor.
Blimey.
So I felt like when you see a cartoon, you see the
Heart.
the heart just bouncing out the chair. I felt like that, and it really did.
Well, what will we get this time? We have no idea, but we're going looking. So get ready for that. Check us out on Halloween when you think, but Alan's not on the way list.
Subscribe to the YouTube channel, and then
Is it
you'll
free?
It is
Free.
Yeah,
So it's free. Subscribe and then it shows. There you go. Right, let's have a look at Monday's national newspaper front pages, see what people are saying. The Daily Star, 2 inches of rain in just 2 hours coming at you. The Star's shock plan, Mr. Motivator, spread and gone, feed my ashes to guests at the wake.
Oh, lovely.
Is he planning to go any time soon or not? Do we know?
So do you want them put on the buffet or something?
Yeah, that's a problem. Not really sure that I want a lump of Mr. Motivator. I don't know about you.
It might give you some motivation. That's why he's doing it, so everyone's got a bit of him.
Everyone's walking around in them tight like outfits.
Yeah, I think we saw too much of him at the time. The Daily Express, congratulations. Birthday boy Cliff marks his 80th year with a new tour. 1,000 police to guard Kate and William in Pakistan. And Prime Minister unveils a package of crime crackdown measures in the Queen's speech. The Boris Blitz on crooks. Tougher sentences for foreign criminals. Serious offenders barred early release. And there's a picture of Ronnie Wood who says, "I'm a great survivor." He's 72, the Rolling Stones guitarist. So that's all happening on the Daily Express. Daily Mirror, Crouchy and Abbey, our halls brush with death. Don't know what that is, but big enough to manage. Anything to do with Abby Clancy's a good thing, in my opinion. That's just Can't have got red blood in my veins. And Crash Family in Play. Harry's mum, meet me face to face. The family arrives in the States for a meeting with the suspect in son's death smash. That's still all a mess and can end in nothing but tears for everybody. The Times, ban air miles and stop frequent flyers, urge the climate advisors. The EU tells Johnson to give more ground on Brexit because they're saying they are not anywhere near a deal. Boris is saying we're nearly there. And 1 in 3 wine drinkers can't stomach paying over a fiver. Would you pay over a fiver for wine?
For a glass?
Are you wine
or a bottle?
I presume a bottle, isn't it? Surely you...
I don't know. I suppose it's about a fiver in the bar, isn't it? If you had a glass.
For a glass, yeah,
but I
small
suppose a
glasses.
fiver in the shop for a bottle as well.
You can get wine cheaper than that. I'm sure. Am I living in the past?
Lambrini.
You're a Lambrini girl.
Oh. The Guardian, let's move swiftly on. Bit of white lightning. Prime Minister seeks to thrust law and order onto the agenda in the Queen's speech. Barnier's warning as the Brexit talks stutter and tricky. You know tricky? Well, neither do I. But some reasons they're called tricky. The day my daughter died. Tricky.
Tricky Dicky?
No, tricky must be like a rapper or
No.
something. His daughter's just died. Show him some respect. And what a shame.
Where was Tricky Dicky from then?
Tricky Dicky was East. Was it EastEnders?
Oh, was it? Oh, must have been.
It was a character in East. I don't think it's the same Dicky.
No.
Anyway, the Daily Telegraph. Fury is the EU demands more Brexit concessions. There's a picture of the Pope with Prince Charles. Incidentally, can I just say, and I know that there is many a person who may well complain, and I apologise in advance, but the new Pope, or the current Pope, has just made somebody a saint, an English man a saint. Can't remember the guy who's the saint, but I've looked back into the history of this guy, and he was responsible for the imprisonment of a man called Achilles, who was abusing children whilst in the Catholic Church, and he declared that nobody could know about this guy's abuse. So my question mark is, doesn't sound a saint to me, not in my parlance. Now, there's other people that have rewritten the Achilles story. Try and have a look at it, see what you think. I may be right, I may be wrong, but in my opinion, when you say suffer little children, you don't hide the people that make them suffer. Not in my opinion. Daily Mail, crackdown on foreign criminals who sneak back to the UK. And about time too. The Information newspaper, Boris Johnson's allies attack the deal as the EU prepares for a delay. Boris says there will never be a delay over my dead body in a ditch. Might happen. The Independent, joy for Japan after their deadly typhoon. And the UK must move further and faster if they want an EU deal. The Metro newspaper, why Eve is making a killing. Don't know what that's about. Mog, I might eat my words. Arch Brexiteer hints the cabinet are set to compromise to get a deal. All the things they said they wouldn't do, they're now do you know that the deal that Boris has got for the EU is almost identical to Theresa May's, with the exception that she wanted the whole of the UK to stay in the customs union because that's where the money comes from. This way they're just saying, no, well, Ireland can have that, but the rest of Britain can't, which a lot of people will be very unhappy about. And also a thing called Smirkgate. Priti Patel is the Home Secretary, and they were saying, being interviewed by one of the leading reporters, and she started smirking. Says, well, what about all of these firms who are going to lose people and thousands of people are going to be on the dole after Brexit? And she just kind of grinned and smiled and said, we've talked about that. And he says, well, what are you smirking for? Well, it's not funny. What are you laughing for? And it's kicked up a bit of a... She did smirk, though.
Not surprised.
Had a look, and it was definitely a smirk. She's a smirker. And the Financial Times, Johnson's hopes for a swift Brexit deal dented as his proposals baffle the EU. And you could imagine. Do you know what his middle name is?
Boris. It's got to be something.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
Strange.
Hang on, I'm gonna have to just make sure, because I want to get this right. Boris Johnson. Just click on the name. Hang on, no, I better type in Boris' full name. It's because it's something just you will never believe. Boris Johnson, full name. Because I don't think he would get voted in as Prime Minister. There you go. Alexander Boris de Pfeffel Johnson.
De Pfeffel?
P-F-E-F-F-E-L. De Pfeffel.
Sounds very posh.
Alexander Boris de Pfeffel Johnson. I'm sorry. I don't know how any... Now, you can vote for who you like, and they voted him in. But I couldn't vote for a de Pfeffel, no matter what party you happen to be in.
See why he shortened it.
You can't you? Anyway, over to you guys. Nicola, what's your story?
I'm one of them dog owners that spoils me dogs all the time.
I can believe it.
You're the same as yours,
Definitely,
aren't you?
yeah.
But this, I wouldn't do this. So H&M have brought out dog jumpers so you and your dog can have the same outfits.
Right.
So say you had like a red checky shirt on, you can get your dog a red checky shirt. You can get them skirts.
Right for Christmas.
I know, but I think it's a bit odd.
Well, don't parents at Christmas
Well,
get their
that-
kids the same jumpers as the
Or like
parents?
matching pyjamas. I know, but that's your kids, isn't it? But
Yeah, but it's still wrong.
I suppose pyjamas because no one else sees, but if they're going out the house, that's a bit dodgy.
my mum was one of them mums that dressed me two little brothers the same, even though there's like 3 age gap between them.
Bet
But
they
then
love that.
our career would end up getting Ryan's hand-me-down, so he had like the same
Same
clothes
outfit
for a
for
long
10
time.
years.
Yeah, but I couldn't be walking along the street with me two dogs with matching jumpers on and stuff. I just think it's a bit.
I just think they've got fur for a purpose, haven't they?
Someone's listening's got them jumpers.
If you could, I know this is the thing, but realistically, they've got fur to deal with the weather. I could kind of understand if you wanted to put, in the snow, put little paddy shoes on or something.
Well, I got them a coat each for them because we obviously.
Can you get dog wellies?
We should get little shoes for them when it's cold.
Well, I got mine these little coats for because we get snow all year round, and I put it on him, and he just looked at us like I was an absolute fool, and he just wouldn't come out of the house, so I just had to take it off.
Right.
So I mean, if I put him a little jumper on, I don't think he's going to appreciate it.
I just don't think they look happy when they've got any kind
It's just all
of.
social media based, isn't it? So you can
I think little dogs, because they're, they need to keep warm. So my little dog's got a jacket, but, the big one doesn't.
Right. What kind of dogs you got again?
A little chug.
Chug.
And a little, I can never remember the other one's breed.
Son of the dog.
Has he got a middle name de Pfeffel by any chance? So
Spaniel.
Spaniel.
Oh, God, I thought it was going to be some kind of cross or something.
I love my dog so much. No idea what he is. Okay, so what's your story?
Well, this is a story in Russia. A Russian man's launched a lawsuit against Apple because he said that his iPhone turned him gay. So he wants 1 million rubles from them, which is £16,500, because, Bitcoins, where you pay for things online.
Yeah.
Well, he got changed.
Virtual currency.
Yeah, well, he got given 69 gay coins instead of Bitcoins.
I didn't even get gay coins.
Neither did I.
Right.
But the money came with a message in English, don't judge without trying. So he done what he was told, really, and he tried to have a relationship with a man. It worked out. They've been together 6 months and he can't get out of the relationship now. So he's suing them for that reason. Because he can't tell his parents.
But if he's
Because it's in Russia, they're quite homophobic, a lot of them over
they
there.
are.
So
Fine.
it's kind of ruined his life. But he's still with the other person, though. But he's still suing them.
Right, well, he's happy, though.
Well, obviously not, because it's actually going to court as well. The 17th of October is the court date. So
I mean, the other guys should surely be like.
I know it's quite.
Who sent them the thing saying the gay coin?
Well, that's it. It's all like
thing?
it's all anonymous,
That
isn't
wouldn't
it?
have come from Apple.
Oh no, it wasn't.
Apple wouldn't say that. Here's some gay
Well, where's
coins.
mine? I'm missing out because I've got an iPhone. If that's the case, but no,
You never had a gay coin?
no, I didn't know you could get them.
I've never heard of them.
Yeah, I've never heard of them either.
Obviously, bitcoins are big online, but yeah.
Yeah, so there you go. Can you be made gay simply by being sent some gay coins? And this is the thing, though, because if somebody says You should try it before you knock it. If somebody does try it, you have kind of led them down that road, haven't you?
Well, I don't know. It depends how you look at it.
Do you think that everybody should try like a bit of gayness before they,
I think
because I must admit I've never dabbled with the whole gay thing. I know a lot of people say, well, everybody has, and they always say, oh, but girls are the worst. Girls are always. You must have done that. No.
I think these days people don't care.
Plenty of time, Nick.
So
I'm gonna sue Apple.
I'm suing them for because I haven't got any. So where's mine?
I've just never heard of gay kind.
I don't know. I'm gonna have to look them up, see what they are. That could be next week's blur.
Right, so we're going to take a very swift break. Then we've got that chart that we promised you too on Britain's Most Listened To. So let's get to it.